on! Come on, Mike! Come on, oh, he's almost there. Come on! Come on!
Yeah! Woohoo!
All right. All right.
Praise the Lord.
Masturbate soul?
Yeah, a little bit. So usually, back in the States, we have these gums. They're called chiclets. They're square gums, little tiny chickies. Yeah, they look just like a tooth. We'll put one back here. Then after doing that, I'll spit it out. Freaks the kids out too much.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah. Did you guys have a good time? Was this good?
Yeah, awesome.
Feats of strength. They're very awe-inspiring. They're very entertaining. I have to admit, I love doing them. But watching demonstrations of feats of strength have no ability to change your life. They may entertain you, may inspire awe in you, but they don't have the power to change your life. But what I'm about to share with you over the next few moments has the ability not only to change your life, but to change your future and the lives of the people that you love.
Come on.
You see, I know what it means to be down and out. I know what it means. When I was born in Detroit, Michigan, and my family was very dysfunctional, to say the least. My mom and dad, they'd be fighting all the time. I'd have to duck flying saucers in the kitchen, but it didn't come from outer space, it came from the kitchen cupboard, you know? And there was a lot of hateful, angry words exchanged in my home. And my dad, he would always take his frustrations out on me. And as a boy, I looked up to my dad. I looked up to him to teach me what this thing called life was about. He was my role model. And instead of building me up, instead of speaking life into me, he did the opposite. He'd tear me down. He'd say things to me like, Mike, you're nothing. You're worthless. I can't even believe I had you. And as a young man, that hurt me deeply. And I didn't know what to do with that pain.
Yeah.
And that pain got greater and greater, and I started to get frustrated, and I started to rebel. In school, I'd get in trouble in school. I spent more time in the principal's office than the principal did.
Amen.
I said, you guys need to get me a secretary as much time as I'm in here. And then I started to get in trouble with the authorities. And you know, I had this pain and I didn't know how to get rid of it. And so I started to experiment with some substances. My first substance was alcohol. I started to experiment with alcohol. And I found that I liked it very much because when I was drunk, for just a moment of time, I couldn't feel that pain. It was numb. But then it would wear off. I'd wake up the next day, and guess what? The pain was still there. And so I continued drinking, and then I discovered drugs. I started to smoke marijuana at a young age when I was in middle school. And then by the time I was 16 years old, I started to get heavily addicted to cocaine. I was dropping LSD on a regular basis, and my life was full on headed down, and it was headed down fast. So then at the age of 16, when most of my peers were thinking about their driver's license, I was convicted of an armed bank robbery at the age of 16. And when the police caught up with us, and I stood before the judge said, you know, I'd like to treat this as a juvenile crime, but since you want to do the adult crime, you can do the adult time. And he sentenced me to 4 to 20 years in prison. And some people would say, well, you know, it was the drugs and the alcohol that got you there, and it was all the things, you know. What got me to that point in my life was my decisions. Because nobody could force me to make the decisions I made. They could influence my decisions, you know, and we all know that there's a God who created us, but there's also an enemy, and his name is Satan. And he hates God. He hates God with a passion. But there's nothing that he can do to harm God, so he does his next best thing. He starts to harm his children. Every person on the face of this planet was created by God for a purpose. Every person on the face of this planet was created by God with a destiny in mind. And the enemy, Satan, hates every one of us. And so he tries as best he can to steal, to kill, and to destroy.